Good evening, my stamping friends. It is Leslie, and I am a couple of minutes late. I do apologize for that. I got a little wee bit distracted, but you know how it goes, right? So I am here, and I am hoping that you are here and ready for some fun. So I have a little question for you, and I'd like your answer in the comments. What do you think of when someone says embossing? What does that make you think of? Is there a particular technique? Is there a particular... If you're out there, give me a shout and let me know what you think of when you think of embossing. So anyway, and even if you're watching on the replay, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. Anyhow, there's lots of different things that embossing can mean. Embossing can mean using our embossing paste, which is what we're going to use tonight. Okay, I'm just going to move that out of the way now. So we have something called embossing paste. Okay, and there's, I think if you peel here, there's some... Oh, I'm not getting the... There should be. There's another layer under there that I was trying to get at. And I can't get it. Yeah, it's not coming. The whole label's coming off. What I wanted to see, it looks as though there's another layer under there, but I can't get it right now. So we're not going to worry about that too much. What we're going to talk about, though, is what do you use this for? And we're going to use it for a couple of different things tonight. So let me first show you where this stuff is located. So there is a 2-page spread, terrific texture, in the current catalog, right? And I'm just going to push a few things out of the way so I can bring this a little farther in, right? So we're going to talk about the embossing paste tonight. Next week we're going to talk about heat embossing, and then on the 18th I've got some other things that I want to talk about, including some different dry embossing techniques that we can do. So you can take your favorite stencil or decorative mask and use a palette knife. So this is another tool. So we have the embossing paste with a matte finish or the shimmery white. The palette knives, that's these, and you get 3 tools in there. Let me show you those. And they have different uses. They all have a different use. Okay. So you have your nice big broad one, you have your long thin one, and then you have your sort of pointy one here. Okay. Some of these have a bend in them to make them a little easier to use for certain things. All right. So you get those 3 tools. And another tool that's very, very helpful is your silicone craft sheet. Okay. This little trick, I'm telling you, if you don't have at least one of these silicone craft sheets in your craft room, you are seriously missing out. I have 3 in the studio and use them all the time. Okay. So let's talk about the easiest way to use it. Okay. So I'm just going to close up my catalog and put that out of the way. And I'm going to grab this balmy blue card base. Now I could fold it, or I could just leave it here, and I'll just put a sticky note. Whoops. That fell on the floor. All right, so we're just going to put this along the score line so that I don't end up on the back by mistake. So I took the Take to the Skies or Adventurous Skies or something like that. Anyway, there's a whole suite, and I just randomly made some clouds. Okay, so I'm gonna open the, I have the, which one do I have? I'm guessing I just have the regular matte finish, because it's not telling me I have anything different. Okay, so it comes with your piece, and then it comes sealed. Okay, my recommendation is to remove as little of this seal as you can. Okay, so only peel it back part way, and you may even want to get a piece of like saran wrap and press it down in there when you're done, and then cover it all up so that it stays moist. Okay, so I'm just gonna scoop out a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. The thicker you put it on, the longer it takes to dry. Okay, so I'm gonna start, and I'm just going to scrape it across my stencil. Now I can make sure that I get it all. I can add some texture, okay, to some of these clouds. I can leave them partially done so that there's other texture. Okay, so I kind of make sure I get the edge, but maybe leave some of the extra. All right. Like that. Can get just a little wee bit more for this last big cloud. Okay. Like that. So you can go back and forth. You can, there's no right or wrong. Okay. So some of them I left kind of, I just tapped with the palette knife so that there was some texture. Okay. Like that. All right. And then we just lift it up and we have these beautiful clouds. Now this is just a piece of cardstock that I die cut. All right. So you can make your own things. Now what you can't see off camera right over here is I have a bin of water. You want to get your palette knives cleaned off, and if you're using plastic masks, which I'm going to show you here in just a second, you want to make sure that you are getting them cleaned off right away, because once this stuff dries, it's like cement. It's not coming off. Okay, so we're just going to set this aside and let it dry. And I've got some things that we're going to use to finish that card. All right, I'm just going to put that over there. All right, so this, whoops, it's just a piece of cardstock. Ooh, and I have some scrap paper, so that's good. Now these masks that I have here are retired. They were the Artistic Mix decorative masks. Let me just grab this one. And you could just put it over. Okay, so we don't happen to have these right now, but you can get stencils pretty much anywhere. Okay, and I'm just going to take a little, and I'm going to kind of work diagonally, and I think I want to go this corner and then this corner. So I'm going to kind of go like this and up from this corner, and just kind of, I'm not even making sure that I'm getting it all the way in. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a little bit more up in this corner. and there's some space with none, okay? So let me rinse this. So I've got a bin and a towel over here. So I'm just drying them off when I'm done. Okay. And so isn't that fun? I'm just going to put that in the water because I'm not going to need it anymore. I'll really wash it later. But how fun is that for a background and then putting a die cut image on top? Okay. So that's one way to do it. Another option is to have a really big label shape. Okay. So I'm going to put this kind of right smack in the middle. Actually, no, I'm going to put it up towards the top so I have some room at the bottom. And let me see what happens if I use this palette knife. So what I want to do is I kind of want to go around the edge. Okay. Like that. So I'm kind of trying to make sure, oops, let's see if this works a little better. There we go. So, you know what? I want a longer blade. Do you see what's happening? Yeah, I need this longer blade to smooth that out. There we go. Okay. So more around the edges, less in the middle. Okay, and let's see what that did. Look at that. Now that would be fun to add a die cut to when you're done, when it's dry. Okay, got a little on the edge. You can just, as long as it's not dry, you can just wipe it off. Okay, so see where I got a little on the edge? And just brush it off like that. Okay. And because there is moisture to it, there will be a little bit of warping, but it should flatten out when it dries. All right, so there's that. So mostly, so far, we've just used the embossing paste right out of the jar. Okay, hang on 1 second. I have a piece of, okay, that. All right, I had a piece of designer series paper that I wanted to use. Let me just see if it's right over here. Oh, that's not it. Wonder what happened to it. I'm telling you, things just, oh, here it is. It was under the tablet cover. All right, so here's my card base that I'm gonna put it on later, okay? And this designer series paper already has white, but I want some other things on it. And I want them to have color. So what I can do is take a little bit of embossing paste, okay, put it right on my silicone mat, right, and add a drop or maybe two, depends on how deep I want the color, of re-inker. Okay, this happens to be Highland Heather, and I'm just going to mix that. And you can mix it very thoroughly so that the color is uniform all the way through, or you can leave it a little unmixed so that you get some different kinds of hues, okay? So we're just going to add that. I'm going to try and get this not too thick, especially on designer series paper. I don't want it too thick. So now we have that, and I could put this one kind of over here. Best not to put your fingers right in it. I'm wondering if I'm going to wish that I had left well enough alone. Do you ever have trouble deciding when enough is enough? Yeah, me too. I sometimes go too crazy and then it's like, oh, I should have stopped. But let's see. Yeah, I may end up cutting that to use that. That's okay. So let me just get, now all my palette knives are kind of dirty, so let me just quick wash them up here. And give that mask a little scrape while I'm there. All right, there's one. Here's two. And here's our last one. Okay. Oh. All right, there we go. So you can color your embossing paste as well if you want to. So that's kind of fun. And this is going to warp a little, especially because it's designer series paper. It's not as thick as cardstock, but that's okay. All right. So one last thing, what if you, I'm going to do some more of that, I think. All right, so I have a piece of Blackberry Bliss. Now, you don't have to only use the negative space. You can use your positive space. So here is actually the die cut that I pulled out of here. Okay, die cut it out of there. I took my silicone mat, I turned this over, I used, oh, I must have left it on the other table. I used some of our multi-purpose liquid glue because this will dry tacky. If you leave it to air dry like this, it dries tacky, okay? So now I can add this to a card, okay? And just gently tack it down, okay? Then I can grab a little bit of embossing paste, and I'm gonna close this up so that we're not getting too much air because I'm just about done, and I will do some other, I have some seal wrap here. All right, so I'm gonna add just a little bit because I want it to stay pretty light for contrast against the Blackberry Bliss. So I don't want it real dark. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it pretty light, but I didn't want it stark white. Okay, so we're just gonna mix that around a little bit. And then I'm gonna take my paste and I'm gonna kind of go over the top and just kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? It can just be kind of like that, okay? So it can have a nice rough edge. It does not have to be perfect, all right? And then, if you're very careful, and you don't put your hands all in it and have to wash them, or at least rinse them off. you very carefully peel up your mask, peel up that positive space, and you get that. Isn't that fun? And then you could add a label over here. So now you've got this really interesting shape, okay? And that can be used again. You just have to maybe put it on some plastic wrap or something like that for a little while. All right, I'm gonna put my silicone mat in the bin now. All right, and let's take my scrap paper out of the way. And let's start thinking about what we're gonna do with these things that we've made. So let's go to the very first one, all right, where I did the clouds, and it's already dry, okay? It is a little warped, but there are some things that you can do with that. So, well, I guess it wasn't 100% dry because it left a little bit there, but that's okay. So you can grab your heat tool and just on level 1, you can, oh, I'm getting stuck to everything here. I have notes, I have other masks, I have all kinds of stuff over here. So you can just kind of give it a little bit of drying from the front and the back so that the warpage will kind of resolve itself a little bit if you dry both sides. Okay, and if it doesn't, it's no big deal. That should be good. All right, so let's get that back over there and out of the way. So while I was die cutting the clouds, I also did an airplane, okay? And I like the textured clouds best, so I'm going to kind of cover up the two clouds that I like the least, okay? Like, yeah, I think like that. Now, I was talking to a friend, we were stamping the other day, and I said I really try to make sure my plane is climbing as opposed to getting ready to crash. So I try to point my aircraft so they are going up, not down. No crash landings, preferably. So let's put some dimensionals on this, like that. And I think I'm going to use a little tiny bit of this. I don't even probably need that much, but that's okay. Along here. Yeah, I went a little too long. That's all right, we'll break that piece off. Yeah, we can get that off of there. Well, I guess my light went off. So, not sure what the weather was like where you were, but here it was a lovely early summer day. I know it's not technically summer yet for a couple more weeks, but it was a wonderful day, and I was with some kids. I was working today, so I went to field day with one of the schools that I work at, and the kids had an absolute blast. We were out at a camp, so there was lots of room. There was no waiting in line for activities. There was no, this group has to travel this way. There was just space for people to enjoy their time. the whole school could be in one place at one time. The playground of this particular school is relatively small and it can't accommodate every student all at the same time. So they used to have to do shifts where K1, 2 would go out for their field day, and then 3, 4, 5 would go out, and this was so much better. And I was super happy to be involved in that. So that was great. All right, so let's give this another little crease here. And so all I need now is to die cut a white cloud and add it with the greeting. Okay, and this particular stamp set has some really nice ones. Flying by to say hi. You are just plain, I forgot what it says. Not you're just plain great, which is what my mom wrote in the advertisement that she took out in the Sentinel in 1986. She wrote to Leslie, Page, and Todd for having class, because I had just gotten my job as a teacher, my first job as a teacher, being plain, Plane, great, because my sister had just gotten a job as a flight attendant, and being technologically outstanding, because my brother was graduating from high school and got the outstanding technology student from, back then it was the Votech Center, now it's the Cheshire Career Center. Anyway, it says something, and I can't remember what it says, but that was my little aside. So there's one. Okay, so we could do that. This, I know this was the last one we did, so I'm going to give this, sorry for the noise, but we're just going to dry it up a little bit because I want to get this onto its base. Let's dry from the back as well. So this was just the painted lavender paper. I was surprised, honestly. For those of you who have been using Stampin' Up! Product for a long time, you know that it's very, very, very rare for them to carry designer series paper over. So for them to carry over, I think it was 2 or 3 papers this time. The painted lavender carried over, the yep, it's gonna come to me in just a second. The Countryside Inn paper, that beautiful blue, those beautiful blues, that carried over, and I think there might have been one more. Anyway, almost unheard of. So that we get to use these papers longer is fabulous. All right, there we go. Then you put this here. And I'm going to, because it's a little warpy, I don't often use the green glue, although I'm hearing from more and more people that this is way more economical than the seal. So I may start using it more, we'll see. And we'll put that on there. Okay. There we go. Oh, I was going to do something there. It's okay, because what I can do is I can play around with this. Yeah, I could do something like that because I like the top better. So I could do something like this. I could find a nice greeting here. Okay, and then put something, ooh, I know what I could do up there. Ooh, Hang on. I just have to grab the stamp set. Hang on. And I think I have a block over here. I do. Oh, it's going the right direction even. Woohoo! All right. I love when things work out the way you want them to. And because this go. Okay. Now I can add some color to this. Now I could use some embossing paste, some of that colored embossing paste, and do a super thin layer. But if you do that, you should probably use Stays On ink, so that this, because the moisture in the embossing paste will make the memento smear. So you don't really want to do that. So I will not be coloring this right this second, but I will just take my blends markers and color that butterfly, and then add my greeting here. Okay. So there's that one. And then this one, I think, there we go. That can go on there. Oh, that's nice. And again, we'll just go over here. Oh, I've kept you guys a little bit longer than I usually do. So I will post pictures of these once I finish them, and that may take a little while because tomorrow and Thursday are my baby days this week. So I'll be heading down to Springfield tomorrow morning at about 7:30, which will get me there a little after 9 because I'm making a pit stop, I hope, to get a little sit-me-up seat. The little miss is turning herself out of her little bouncy seat. So it is time to retire the bouncy seat and get something else for her to be in when we're doing dishes or something like that, so that she can be with us in the kitchen. Or if we just need to have her contained in a spot somewhere. So there's a couple of ways to use that embossing paste. Okay, let me just make sure. So yep, the tips that I wanted to share were to get your tools right into some water and then get them washed off, and then cover this really well. And I would save the baggie even. So some seal wrap or something down in there, then cover it, then put on the cover, and then put it in the bag. You want to keep as much air out of there as possible. Okay, so that's kind of what you're wanting to do there. This one, I think what I'm going to do with this one is that beautiful, and I'm not sure I have one left over. I thought I did, but I might not. I'm not seeing one. Oh, what if? So this is one of the, this is the Fully Flowering Ephemera pack. Look at this. Okay, we're putting some dimensionals on these. Well, this is fun. This is going to make this a lot easier. I was looking for the Layering Beauty, when I had used those masks, I thought I still had one that I had die cut out, but I'm not finding it, so that's okay. We'll just use this instead. And then this piece can go on a card front. So the, whoops, guess I got them all. Okay. So the embossing kind of anchors that and makes it look like it's not floating. Okay. Which I think is pretty cool. There. And then just some kind of a label. Now I don't know that these have, this one has labels. So you get 2 of each sheet. And some you can color with your markers or blends. Okay, you can have, or a sponge dauber, or the chalks. Okay, so there's always at least a couple that you can color. Ooh, there's a big, beautiful one to color. All right. Some have a lot of labels and things, so I could use a label. I've got a few die cut labels over here. I could use a very skinny one. Okay. Like that. So lots of different ways to use that. All right, so that takes care of that. So I will try and get this moved up to YouTube here in the next couple of days, and hopefully you will have time to enjoy that. I know, some of those pretty lavender ones. Yes, you're right, Melanie. Those would be really fun ones to add to this, to die cut some of the lavender and have multiple textures. So we have the raised paste, and then if I added, I'm not sure I need this color, but if I added some of, yeah, I would do a different color. I would do the Highland Heather. I think this is Gorgeous Grape. But if I added some die cuts mixed in with that, that would look really great. Great idea. So thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks. Bye-bye, guys.